this crazy looking plant is, of course, none other than Leonotis neptefolia. And what a insanely tall plant it really is. And incredible flowers as well. I mean, look at these. They have medicinal value, they are beautiful. They're in the mint family, so they're not terribly difficult to grow. And I absolutely recommend any beginner gardener starting off with these because they're just so much fun. Giant, tall plant with huge flower bracts, beautiful orange flowers, great for pollinators, and just what a sight to behold. And right now I'm just harvesting these flowers just because they are fun to pick, and as long as you know how, and also good for, like I mentioned, a medicinal value. Some people drink these in tea, and it's just a fun little thing to do. So I'm just going to show you how to do that here. So one thing I like to do, and this kind of goes for more than just these specific plants, the Leonotis neptefolia. There is a look-alike, or I shouldn't even say look-alike. There's so this is Klip Dagga, Leonotis neptefolia. There also is Leonotis leonotis, which is wild dagga, and the leaf shape is very different, so you'd notice by the leaves. But they also have these kind of orange flowers as well, but this one specifically, like I mentioned, is Klip Dagga, Leonotis neptefolia. So when I grow these, I tend to pull off the lower leaves up to about waist height, so that just allows them to get more energy into growing taller, more flowers. And really, just to harvest the flowers from this plant, I just pull down the whole stalk like this, so it's kind of bending over. These are very resilient and just kind of super tall, yet super strong. But like I say, I just pull this down, I'm doing this one-handed, and I'll just take a look at the bract here itself, where all the flowers are coming out of. And you don't want to pull the smaller little ones. You'll want to pull the ones that have basically already done their job, and so they should come out pretty easily. You just need to be careful though, not because that could hit you in the face, right? But because also you might pull out the individual little casing that the flower is in, and I can probably give you an example of that. If I try to pull out one of these, and you do have to be careful when you're doing this because these little flower casings, I don't really know the technical term, they're the little hoods that the flowers pop out of. They are very sharp. They're basically like little thorns, and they absolutely do hurt. It's not going to be terribly bad pain, but you'll remember and you'll not want to do it again just because they are very sharp. So that one came out, but you might get the odd one that comes out with the green casing, and that really isn't too ideal. Of course you can still use it, but you'll just want to try to get the ones that are poking out the most. So you just grab them like this and pull. You can usually get a lot of time. I'm doing this one-handed, so I just let it fly back in the air. But yeah, just be careful about doing that if it is anywhere near your face, because like I said, these are sharp from a specific way of touching them. So if I touch it dead on, that hurts. But if I kind of go from top to bottom, no, I'm not really feeling anything. But yeah, if you dead on those little spines, it does hurt. But like I said, you can just kind of hold on to them. They should wiggle out pretty easily. And then there you go. To me, these almost look like little shrimp or something. I'm not too sure. I guess they're supposed to look like lion's ears, but to me they look more like a crustacean or an isopod or something like that. I just smelled them. They don't smell like anything. You'll know when they're ready, like I said, because they're poking out of the plant, but also because before you even start picking them, you'll likely find them on the ground here. And I usually won't go for these because, you know, they've been on the ground and they're not fresh. It's just already fallen off naturally. There'll be plenty on the plant, believe me. They just keep coming and growing taller and taller. Here's an example of a plant that has not flowered yet. but I'm sure will very soon. And I have a couple more here. They kind of take over. They are in the mint family, like I mentioned. So, but they are a ton of fun to grow, and they grow super tall. So yeah, Leonotis neptefolia, not to be confused with Leonotis, but this is Klip Dagga, not the wild Dagga. A lot of fun to grow.